think he is very eager to tell his story. And I think he will tell every part of his story, including what you see on the video.
If just one tape can send Diddy's legal team into crisis, the question becomes, what else are the feds holding that even they haven't revealed yet?
Don't know exactly what it is. You actually believe that it's not necessarily off the table yet? He might take a deal?
It's never off the table. And I handle a lot of cases, and that first deal, very rarely do you take. I think that's the start of the process. I know that it's going to have to be something where Diddy's not going to spend a substantial time in jail talking about 10 years or anything like that. Why would you take that? You would rather go to trial and see what the end result is. But if they can offer him something where it's in that 5-year range and there's an understanding that he'll be cleared of everything else, it's going to be appealing to him.
One of Diddy's top attorneys has already resigned, and now the defense appears to be unraveling behind the scenes. Here's how it all unfolded. On February 21st, 2025, Anthony Rico, one of Diddy's defense lawyers, abruptly filed a motion to withdraw from the case.
He was a guy who pulled himself up by his bootstraps. He was known as a hard worker, but he worked hard and he played hard. That was a part of his lifestyle. To a lot of people, they wanted to be that. But heroes don't beat women. And when you see someone hit a woman the way he did and treat her that way, that hero nostalgia goes away.
His statement made headlines, citing that under no circumstances could he continue representing Sean Combs. The wording raised alarms across the legal community. Rico referenced attorney-client privilege as his reason for staying silent, but the phrasing strongly suggested internal conflict or sensitive revelation. Such a move is often termed a noisy withdrawal, typically signaling serious issues, either with the client or the integrity of the defense. And Rico isn't just any lawyer. With a history of representing major clients like Osama bin Laden's former driver, his dramatic exit added serious weight to the speculation. Despite the shock of losing someone with Rico's credentials, Diddy's legal bench remains full.
But pretty much that the judge ruled not to exclude the photo. So this photo will be admitted into evidence. Now, victim one was also brought up by a kind of a defense argument. And this argument was a little surprising to me because, you know, for the most part, it seems that the defense at some kind of aspects and points of this case have kind of been trying to paint this picture that Combs, in a way, you know, he lives an alternative lifestyle. This is just, you know, these are consensual relationships between, you know, his former girlfriends and these escorts that are a part of, you know, these freak-offs that the government is painting kind of his, you know, discretions about. But as far as how this has to do with victim one is that the defense is pretty much going to tell these jurors essentially that there was mutual physical violence, domestic violence between the defendant, that being Diddy, and victim one.
5 attorneys are still in place, with Mark Agnifilo leading as primary counsel. According to court records, Rico's departure was not expected to delay the proceedings. The May trial date remained locked in, but the deeper implications of his exit are far from settled. By May 2025, Diddy's federal trial was fully underway, drawing massive attention nationwide. Jury selection began on May 5th, with opening statements slated for May 12th. This trial, unfolding in a Manhattan courtroom, could lead to a life sentence if Diddy is convicted. The charges are severe: racketeering conspiracy, trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transporting individuals for prostitution.
You have to remember that you're not being judged by the man or the woman on the bench. You're being judged by the jury. They're looking at how you dress, your posture, your facial expressions, especially when certain items of evidence are coming in. What is Mr. Combs going to do when they show the video? Is he going to have any reaction to it? Is he going to shake his head? Those are all things that jurors who are human are looking at. And in a case of this magnitude, there's going to be the star quality, the celebrity quality that's going on. And so you want to make sure that you never lose track of the fact that you are being watched each and every way, especially as the attorney, the way you interact with your client, when you're passing notes or when you're whispering something to them. Those things are very important.
Prosecutors allege Diddy led a 2-decade criminal enterprise leveraging his entertainment empire to orchestrate and conceal serious criminal acts. Central to the case are so-called freak-offs, described in the indictment as elaborate sessions involving forced participation, violence, and drug use. Prosecutors claim Combs used intimidation and manipulation to control people in his circle and shield his public image. Jury selection has been deliberate due to the trial's high-profile nature. By May 9, 2025, 43 qualified jurors had been selected from an initial group. The final jury will include 12 jurors and 6 alternates, with peremptory challenges set for May 12th. This careful process signals just how much is at stake in this unprecedented case. One of the most difficult aspects of selecting jurors has been finding individuals who haven't been swayed by intense media coverage. Many potential jurors admitted they had already seen the 2016 surveillance footage of Combs allegedly assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway, a video prosecutors plan to use as key evidence. But the prosecution's case stretches far beyond that clip.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all eight were victimized,
Yeah,
meaning
victim.
this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
During March 2024 raids at Diddy's residences in Los Angeles and Miami Beach, federal agents seized critical items, including electronic devices, illegal firearms, narcotics, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, allegedly linked to the freak-offs cited in the indictment. The case also leans heavily on the testimony of 4 individuals identified in court documents as victims 1 through 4. Victim 1 is believed to be Cassie Ventura, whose November 2023 civil lawsuit triggered the broader federal investigation. Despite early expectations, the jury selection process hit an unexpected delay. Peremptory challenges, where each side can remove jurors without stating a reason, were postponed to May 12th. That pushed back opening statements to later that same day, adding another layer of tension to an already volatile courtroom environment. Reports suggest that one of the prosecution's main witnesses, identified as Victim 3, might not testify despite being subpoenaed. This unexpected twist has stirred unverified speculation about possible witness tampering, further intensifying an already volatile and high-stakes trial. With emotions running high, both legal teams are sharpening their strategies. The prosecution aims to frame Sean Combs as someone who leveraged his wealth, fame, and influence to operate a sprawling criminal enterprise that exploited multiple individuals. On the flip side, the defense is set to argue that all sexual encounters were consensual and that Combs simply engaged in an unconventional lifestyle, not one that broke federal law.
Don't know exactly what it is. You actually believe that it's not necessarily off the table yet? He might take a deal?
It's never off the table. And I handle a lot of cases, and that first deal, very rarely do you take. I think that's the start of the process. I know that it's going to have to be something where Diddy's not going to spend a substantial time in jail talking about 10 years or anything like that. Why would you take that? You would rather go to trial and see what the end result is. But if they can offer him something where it's in that 5-year range and there's an understanding that he'll be cleared of everything else, it's going to be appealing to him.
But the defense faces a significant challenge with the 2016 hotel surveillance footage. Legal experts believe they'll need to directly address the video, minimizing its relevance, by arguing that Combs is not on trial for domestic violence, but for serious charges like sex trafficking and racketeering. Despite being denied bail several times, Combs continues to plead not guilty to all charges. He's refused any plea deals, signaling a willingness to face trial, even with the looming risk of a life sentence. As explosive flash drive evidence looms, the pressure inside the courtroom is only increasing. At the core of the escalating legal drama is Courtney Burgess, a key witness who testified before a federal grand jury in November 2024. Burgess claims he was entrusted with 11 flash drives allegedly containing at least 8 video recordings featuring Diddy and 8 celebrities, 6 male and 2 female. According to his sworn statement, these drives were given to him by Kim Porter, Diddy's late ex-girlfriend and mother to 4 of his children, shortly before her death in 2018. The contents of these alleged recordings have triggered serious alarm. Burgess claims some footage includes 2 to 3 celebrities who appear to be minors. He also testified that all individuals shown seem visibly impaired. When questioned about how many appeared to be victims, Burgess answered all of them. Beyond the videos, Burgess says the drives contained a digital manuscript titled Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. This alleged memoir outlines claims of physical abuse, coercion, and violent incidents attributed to Combs. The document was reportedly published briefly on Amazon, but was pulled after Diddy's children challenged its legitimacy. Diddy's legal team has aggressively denied these claims, dismissing the manuscript and tapes as fabricated. They assert there is no credible evidence of their existence or authenticity, calling the accusations baseless and defamatory. As the trial proceeds, these contested flash drives have become a lightning rod in the case's explosive narrative. In January 2025, Sean Diddy Combs responded aggressively to escalating claims by filing a $50 million defamation lawsuit against Courtney Burgess, his attorney Ariel Mitchell, and News Nation, which aired a viral interview with Burgess. Diddy's legal team labeled the accusations as fabricated and harmful, asserting they could unfairly prejudice his upcoming federal trial. They also questioned Burgess's credibility, noting that Kim Porter's children and her longtime roommate deny ever knowing him. Seeking to control the narrative, Diddy's attorneys requested a gag order to prevent Burgess and Mitchell from making further public statements. Despite these efforts, federal authorities have taken Burgess's claims seriously. He received a grand jury subpoena on October 24, 2024, demanding all digital evidence related to Combs, including the controversial thumb drives and any supporting materials. Burgess has reportedly handed these over. But the flash drives are just one part of the growing mountain of digital evidence. During Homeland Security's March 2024 raids on Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami properties, agents seized cell phones, hard drives, and laptops, now under forensic review for images, messages, or videos tied to the charges. In October 2024, another damaging piece surfaced. A leaked prison phone recording where Diddy allegedly told someone, believed to be his son, to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. While vague, the reference has triggered speculation about coded attempts to destroy evidence. Most damning is the verified 2016 surveillance video aired by CNN on May 17, 2024. The footage shows Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel hallway. CNN confirmed its authenticity by matching details to the Intercontinental Hotel's layout. This video has now become a critical centerpiece in the prosecution's case. The 2016 surveillance video showing Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway has become a cornerstone of the prosecution's case. After its public release in May 2024, Diddy issued an apology, calling his actions inexcusable and expressing regret. While not tied directly to the specific federal charges, the footage strengthens Ventura's original November 2023 lawsuit and supports broader claims of abuse. Legal analysts expect Diddy's defense team to address the video directly during trial. Their strategy may focus on acknowledging the conduct as troubling but arguing that it doesn't prove racketeering, trafficking, or coercion. They may also point to Ventura's continued relationship with Diddy following the incident and her decision to pursue a civil settlement rather than press criminal charges. Beyond digital evidence, the physical items seized during federal raids add weight to the case. In Diddy's Miami Beach mansion, authorities found 3 AR-15 rifles with defaced serial numbers, a high-capacity drum magazine, ammunition, and narcotics. These discoveries have led to separate charges for firearm possession and drug offenses. The most bizarre and heavily discussed physical evidence involves more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, also seized during the March 2024 raids. Prosecutors allege these were used during multi-day freak-offs, which included drugs, coercion, and extreme physical activity. Reports say participants sometimes required IV fluids afterward, an indication of how physically demanding and medically hazardous these events may have been. Together, the prosecution will argue that the digital files, physical materials, and witness testimony form a clear and coordinated pattern. Meanwhile, the defense aims to discredit witnesses, challenge how evidence is interpreted, and cast doubt on the context of the most damning materials. A major focal point in the trial is how jurors will interpret the testimony and credibility of victim 1, widely believed to be Cassandra Ventura. Court documents confirm that prosecutors plan to show a 2005 photo of the alleged victim at age 19, taken just months before she met Diddy, and signed to his label. The timeline directly aligns with Ventura's known history. The defense is expected to argue that the relationship between Diddy and victim 1 involved mutual physical altercations, not unilateral coercion. They've suggested she was strong and powerful in an effort to undercut the prosecution's framing of her as a trafficked victim. This move signals a clear attempt to challenge whether the government can meet the legal standard of trafficking, which requires proof of force, fraud, or coercion. Meanwhile, the possible absence of victim 3 has raised concerns. Though subpoenaed, reports suggest this individual might not testify. No official reason has been released, prompting speculation about witness intimidation. The issue underscores a broader problem in prosecuting high-profile defendants with immense influence and resources. Prosecutors have already accused Diddy of attempting to contact witnesses while in custody, using other inmates' call accounts and exploiting social media channels to influence public opinion. These claims contributed to his repeated bail denials and his continued detention at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. As the trial progresses, the effectiveness of these witness strategies on both sides will play a critical role in shaping the outcome. As Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial progresses, all eyes are on the potential verdict and what it could mean, not just for the music mogul, but for the entertainment industry at large. The legal consequences, if convicted, are severe. The racketeering charge carries a potential life sentence with no minimum. 2 counts of trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion also carry a maximum of life and a minimum of 15 years. The 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution each come with a maximum sentence of 10 years. To estimate what sentencing could look like, legal analysts point to past cases, most notably R. Kelly's. Convicted of trafficking and racketeering, Kelly received a 30-year sentence in 2022, followed by another 20 years in 2023, with 19 running concurrently. That effectively became a 31-year prison term. With Diddy facing similarly structured charges, a comparable outcome is on the table. At 55 years old, a conviction on multiple counts could result in Combs spending the rest of his life in federal custody. However, the defense is actively fighting back. Lead attorney Mark Agnifilo, known for defending high-profile clients like NXIVM leader Keith Raniere, is spearheading Diddy's legal response. They argue that the encounters were consensual, the charges overreaching, and the evidence misleading. The verdict in this case could redefine how abuse, coercion, and power dynamics are interpreted within the entertainment world, potentially setting new legal and cultural standards. The defense's strategy is centered on reframing all alleged incidents as consensual, portraying Diddy's behavior as unconventional rather than criminal. They are also highlighting the racial history of laws like the Mann Act, which underpins some of the charges. That law, originally passed in 1910, has a controversial history of being used to disproportionately target black men. The defense hopes this argument may influence jurors sensitive to systemic racial bias within the justice system. If Diddy is acquitted, he would avoid prison, but serious legal battles would remain. As of April 2025, over 60 civil lawsuits had been filed against him, alleging various forms of misconduct dating as far back as 1991. These civil cases will proceed regardless of the outcome of the criminal trial. Another possible outcome is a hung jury. If jurors can't reach a unanimous verdict, the judge could declare a mistrial. That would force prosecutors to consider whether to retry the case, potentially dragging the legal saga on for months or even years, leaving Diddy's status and future uncertain. A plea deal is also a theoretical possibility, though Diddy has rejected such offers before. Legal experts note that depending on how damaging the trial evidence becomes, a plea agreement may re-enter the conversation. A reduced sentence, potentially around 5 years in exchange for avoiding further charges, might be seen as a more favorable outcome for Combs. Each path presents major consequences, not only for Diddy's future, but for how justice, power, and accountability are navigated in high-profile entertainment cases. As more allegations continue to surface, it's increasingly clear that Sean Combs is caught in a legal crisis with no simple escape. The looming question now is whether Diddy will be the only one to face the music, or if others will also be charged as the investigation unfolds. Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, has already suggested that additional charges are possible. With over 50 victims and witnesses interviewed, and prosecutors encouraging more to step forward, the legal spotlight could soon widen. Legal analysts believe Combs' associates and enablers might face scrutiny. In racketeering and organized crime cases, it's common for multiple individuals, drivers, assistants, bodyguards, to be implicated. CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson noted there are others who enabled his actions who may not yet be targets but could become cooperating witnesses. Prosecutors might prioritize flipping these insiders to strengthen the case against Combs. Immunity or reduced sentences could be used to secure testimony from people inside the alleged criminal structure. However, experts also warn about the complexities of sex trafficking prosecutions, where the roles of victim and offender often overlap. In the Ghislaine Maxwell case, for instance, some women admitted they had recruited others under pressure, raising moral and legal dilemmas. Prosecutors must weigh these factors carefully. Charging every participant may not always be appropriate, especially when coercion is involved. That's why, even though the Combs enterprise is alleged to have involved assistants, security, and high-ranking staff, not all will necessarily face charges. As the FBI investigates connections to celebrity attendees at Combs' alleged freak-offs, the fallout could expand further into the entertainment world. Reputations may be at risk, even for those not accused of crimes, based solely on their proximity to the events now under scrutiny. What are your thoughts on the list of celebrities tied to Diddy's parties and how this might affect their careers? Drop a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the cards on your screen for more exclusive updates on the Diddy case. Thanks for watching.